there, I'm Wendy Wyman, and I'd like to talk to you today about a topic that is very near and dear to my heart. I know I've spoke with a lot of my colleagues and co-workers, and they've complained about this issue and lack of information out there online regarding how to address it. So today's topic is how to motivate and edify people while using constructive criticism. First of all, people seldom refuse help if one offers it in the right way. When you are giving effective criticism, be positive, specific, objective, and constructive. Also, you must capture the heart of a supremely able man before his brain can do its best. And did you know that U.S. businesses lose $11 billion annually as a result of employee turnover? So we need to do something about that. All right, the following are a list of worst and best critiques. Some of these are kind of funny, so bear with me. Number one on worst critiques. Nobody trusts you. Has this person done a global survey and checked with everyone on the face of the earth? My guess is that some people trust this person, some don't, and others don't care. In an attempt to prove the point, many people try to include others in their personal perception. A much better critique would be this: I don't trust you, and here are some specific reasons why, and then explain the reasons. Another one: you're fine, no problem, just keep on doing what you're doing. This is not a critique. So there should not be a problem. 60% of the time, that is true, but 40% of the time, this person is merely leading you on and is afraid to honestly tell you the truth. That's not good either. Another one: you're always or never, blah, 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 whatever it may be. Once again, this is a clear overestimate. While the person giving the critique is trying hard to get you to understand the importance of the issue, rather than accepting the feedback, the recipient will most often expend their energy in proving that the always or never is not true. All right, another one: everyone thinks you blank. Wow, this person can read minds. They know what other people are thinking. When you are guessing the motives, thoughts, or opinions of others, you are invariably on dangerous ground. Another one: look, I am your boss. Just do what I say and you will be fine. This is like giving a credit card to a teenager and saying, don't spend too much. No one else can or should presume they are able to manage your career for you. Another one: you only care about yourself. You are completely self-absorbed. Can another person really know how you feel and understand your motives? Okay, one more. It's obvious from your question that you don't understand anything about this issue. In one remark, this person has determined your total ignorance. Most people hearing this feedback will immediately want to prove that they are not totally ignorant. In actual fact, asking questions is an excellent way to learn. Always ask questions. All right, now let's go over some of the best critiques. Number one: when you do this, it makes me feel like this. This is specific information that is targeted at an action or event. The remark is focused only on the speaker's reaction and doesn't attribute motive or opinion to others. All right, another one: help me understand. Rather than assuming, ask people why they acted in a particular way. Often you will find their motive is much different than you expected. Another one: my assumption is that your intention was to help in that situation, but here is my perception of how that came across. Assuming positive intent is the best way to become a corrective conversationalist. If people took the time to fully understand our intentions when providing feedback, they would probably view us much more positively, and the feedback given would be far more applicable and useful, and would also be more positively received. All right, another good one that I like is I would really like to give you the highest performance ranking possible, but I can't. Would you like to know why? Some people assume that others are trying to hold them back from succeeding. Letting people know that you are on their side can be a very positive start. Okay, here's one. When you did this, here's what I noticed. My assumption is that this. Be specific about the behavior. Talk about your specific reaction and then state that you assume this was the impact. In cases where you are speculating about the reactions of others, it is helpful to explicitly state that this is your assumption, rather than dispensing the information as the cold, hard facts. Another one, I realize you have a lot on your plate, but this needs to be your number one priority. Everyone is busy and at least a bit overwhelmed. Most people would have done things differently if they had time, resources, or skills. Helping people prioritize is a critical skill. And then lastly, I noticed your efforts to do blank. That's a good start, but you did not hit the target yet. It's very discouraging when people try and fail. Simply telling them they failed again may cause them to give up. All right, there's nothing pleasant about criticism. We all know that. Even the best intentioned critique still stings. People like to be right, correct, and accomplished, and when they're not, it hurts to tell the truth, no matter how nice your critics tries to be. Still, those who try to improve value direct feedback, no matter how painful. And as long as a critic is not being malicious, he or she can actually build a higher level of trust by providing constructive criticism carefully and emphatically. So whether you are reviewing an employee, family member, or friend, here are 5 tips for giving criticism in a way it will be appreciated and well received. I also put notes to the receiver as to how you can make the most of the critique. Okay, number 1, have clear objectives. Ask yourself, what is the best possible outcome of this critique? If you are simply venting with no intention, you won't likely achieve anything but rancor and resentment. Perhaps you are only prolonging an eventual termination, in which case, why waste energy and emotion while putting off the inevitable? On the other hand, if you find yourself the target of an attack, see if you can diffuse the situation by asking your critiques what they hope to accomplish. In the best case, you may get an understanding of the real issue. In the worst case, you'll know it's time to make a graceful exit willingly. Create a neutral environment. Consider the time and place for your critique. It usually helps not to critique in front of a crowd, which generally leads to humiliation. Human resource policies may require a third party, but better to make sure that person is fairly neutral so no one feels ganged up on. The best way to neutralize the tension is with appropriate humor. You can build rapport and take down defenses by sharing your own personal experience of silly mistakes you have made in your career. This helps the subject relate to your humanity before addressing his or her own inadequacies. Okay, if you are the one in the hot seat and you feel threatened or embarrassed by your environment when being critiqued, speak up. Ask to move to a private area or to set up an appointment in the near future. Prepare yourself for the information you will receive. Be attentive with open body language so your critique relaxes as well. Use fewer words with more meaning. Your subject has a strong inner voice during a critique and is likely anxious. So keep your critique brief and to the point. The more you say, the more likely you will distract from the key points and make them hard to remember. Plan your conversation in advance and in writing so the subject can walk away with clear direction on how to improve. When you're in the receiving end, let your critique speak their mind. If you debate on the spot, you'll appear closed and defensive. Better to agree to consider the feedback in the moment, then you can revisit the conversation with careful thought and perhaps a little critique of your own, if warranted. You'll be taken more seriously when your response is thoroughly contemplated and well articulated. Align the criticism with the subject's goals. A self-serving critique falls upon deaf ears. Know your subjects well enough to explain how your suggestions will help them achieve their desired objectives. If they are invested in the outcome, they'll likely be more open to suggestion, regardless of how they feel about you or other people involved. For example, if their goal is to be an amazing boss, then dealing with other people's objections becomes integral to their success. Provide the context for advancement and the critique will be welcomed. When you're the one critiqued, by stepping outside yourself, listen objectively to what's being said. If you are clear on your goals, you'll be able to better identify and filter the good advice from the unwarranted ranting of lunatics. Okay, another one, encourage self-critique. Instead of simply laying out a list of offensive, describe scenarios from an objective viewpoint and ask key questions so your subject can draw their own conclusions about their weaknesses. Lead them with questions to understand from a management perspective while a different behavior is more suitable. When making statements, stay away from direct attacks, use I language, and speak from your own experience. I found that helps a lot. Everyone should do their own self-assessment regularly. Try and anticipate the key points of any critique before it happens. If you are able to start the conversation by listing your own failures and suggestions, remedies at the outset, you'll disarm your critics and likely impress them as well. Then the whole experience will feel like a win-win for you both. So, just a couple more things to wrap this up. Admit your part in any mistake. If you admit your mistakes quickly and emphatically, your team will too. And that's a key step towards improvement. As a manager, you may often be at fault in some way for mistakes made by your team, and owning up to that will show your strength of character as a colleague and as a manager, and make it easier to deliver constructive criticism in the future. Begin in a positive way. Always begin in a positive way. It takes the wind out of their sails. There's always something you can find that is positive, even if it's the effort made on a ultimately unsuccessful project. Give feedback by starting with sincere and honest appreciation. Again, if it is to say thanks for trying, and then once you have made them feel valued, add your constructive criticism. When you're asking anyone to change, starting in a positive way will make the outcome positive as well. Okay, use encouragement and make the fault seem easy to correct. If you simply hand back a mistake-ridden assignment and say, fix this, it needs a lot of work, the revise can seem overwhelmingly to your report. Instead, praise their ability in the past to make corrections quickly. Mention that you're confident in their ability to do that now, and let them know that they can come to you in the future if they have any questions with the assignment. And lastly, praise the slightest improvement. This is so important. Eventually, even the employee who is struggling the most will do something well. That's your opportunity to jump on that success and praise it, which will encourage them to continue with their good work. Praise your employees by giving feedback specific to their work. For instance, don't just say, thanks for your hard work on the Nelson memo. Instead, say thank you for catching that typo in the third paragraph of the Nelson memo. If you hadn't, that could have been a very big issue in the meeting. So that's pretty much the topic I wanted to talk about today. Once again, I appreciate any feedback you can give me. Please like the video if you did. And my name is Wendy Wyman. I look forward to seeing you